At sunset on Thursday, Jesus of Nazareth shared a final Passover meal with his 12 closest friends. By sunset on Friday, just 24 hours later, he was pronounced dead, his body hanging on a Roman cross. How did the most charismatic teacher in Jerusalem fall so far, so fast? What turned Passover praise into cries for execution in a single day? We're about to walk this timeline, sifting through the historical evidence to uncover the reality of Jesus' final 24 hours. Thursday evening, the Last Supper, Jerusalem was swarming with Passover pilgrims. In a quiet upper room, Jesus and the 12 gathered for the Seder meal. But here, Jesus radically reinterpreted the ritual. Taking bread, he said, "This is my body." With a cup of wine, he announced, "This is my blood of the covenant," transforming the meal into a foretelling of sacrifice. Then, a chilling departure. Judas slipped away into the night. The remaining disciples, not grasping the evening's gravity, sang psalms, then followed Jesus across the Kidron Valley to a garden, Gethsemane. But as Jesus sought a moment of peace, betrayal was quietly closing in. Late Thursday night, Gethsemane and arrest. Gethsemane means olive press, fitting for the spiritual agony Jesus endured there. While his disciples slept, he prayed with an intensity so great his sweat was said to fall, like drops of blood. Suddenly, the calm was shattered. Judas returned, leading temple guards and Roman soldiers. The signal was a kiss, identifying Jesus in the torchlight. Peter reacted with a sword, but Jesus stopped the violence, healing the wounded man. He offered no resistance as he was bound. His disciples, terrified, scattered into the darkness. Now, a prisoner, Jesus was about to face a series of illegal, middle-of-the-night trials where the verdict was all but guaranteed. Early Friday, Jewish trials. Jesus was first dragged to the powerful ex-high priest Annas, whose informal interrogation yielded no charge. He was then sent to Caiaphas, the current high priest, for an irregular middle-of-the-night trial before the hastily assembled Sanhedrin council. Witnesses gave contradictory testimony, but the verdict seemed predetermined. Finally, Caiaphas challenged him directly. "Are you the Messiah?" Jesus' stark answer was, "I am." To the council, this was blasphemy, a crime punishable by death. The vote was swift, guilty. Outside, Peter denied knowing Jesus 3 times just before a rooster crowed, fulfilling Jesus' prediction. But while the Sanhedrin had their verdict, they lacked the authority to execute. To see this through, they needed the approval of one man, the Roman governor. Dawn to mid-morning, Roman phase. The Sanhedrin needed Roman approval to execute anyone, so, at first light, Jesus was marched to the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. Pilate's main goal was keeping order during the volatile Passover festival. After questioning Jesus, he found no basis for a charge, but the crowd, agitated by the priests, demanded his death. Seeing an out, Pilate sent Jesus to Herod Antipas, ruler of Galilee. Herod, hoping for a miracle, was disappointed by Jesus' silence and sent him back after his soldiers mocked him. Trapped, Pilate offered the traditional Passover pardon, letting the crowd choose between Jesus and Barabbas, a notorious rebel. The crowd chose Barabbas. Fearing a riot, Pilate washed his hands and condemned Jesus to scourging and crucifixion. The legal maneuvering was over, but the physical ordeal was just beginning. Morning. Via Dolorosa and Golgotha. The Roman scourging was a brutal flogging designed to tear flesh from bone. Jesus endured it, then was forced to carry the heavy crossbeam on the procession known as the Via Dolorosa, or Way of Suffering. When he faltered, soldiers compelled a bystander, Simon of Cyrene, to help. The destination was Golgotha, the place of the skull, a public execution site outside the city. There, he was nailed to the cross through his wrists and hoisted upright. A sign was posted above his head, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." As he hung there, the sky itself would begin to change, and his final words would soon break the silence. Noon to 3 p.m., darkness and final words. At noon, the sky darkened for 3 hours. From the cross, Jesus spoke 7 times, offering words of forgiveness and assurance. He cried out the opening of Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me?" An expression of deep anguish. Around 3 p.m., he declared, "It is finished," and died. At that moment, the Gospels record the massive temple curtain, tearing in two and an earthquake shaking the ground. A Roman centurion, a veteran of crucifixions, watched how Jesus died and was so overwhelmed he declared, "Surely this man was the Son of God." Jesus was dead, but with the Sabbath approaching at sunset, his followers were now in a desperate race against time, burial before sunset. With the Sabbath beginning at sunset, burial was urgent, as Jewish law forbade leaving a body exposed. Joseph of Arimathea, a council member who hadn't agreed with the verdict, courageously asked Pilate for the body. He and Nicodemus brought a lavish quantity of spices, wrapped the body in linen, and laid it in Joseph's new, rock-hewn tomb. A large stone was rolled to seal the entrance. Still suspicious, the chief priests persuaded Pilate to post a Roman guard, ensuring the tomb remained undisturbed. The tomb was sealed, but how much of this incredible story is anchored in provable fact? If this historical deep dive has sharpened the picture for you, consider subscribing. We have more evidence-based explorations into the past coming your way. Why the details matter? Why do these details matter? They anchor the story in real places and real time. This isn't a legend. It's rooted in the gritty reality of first-century Judea. We have archaeological proof, like the Pilate stone, bearing the name of the man who condemned him. These are historical markers. The details also offer a timeless lesson in human nature, showing how quickly public opinion can turn from Hosanna to crucify him. It's a stark reminder of what happens when fear, power, and crowd dynamics collide. And it raises some difficult questions, like, why didn't the most powerful man in the region just set an innocent man free? Common questions answered. Let's tackle some common questions. Was it a 24-hour period? By Jewish reckoning, a day runs from sunset to sunset, so yes. Why didn't Pilate release Jesus? He was in a precarious political position. Priests framed it as a test of loyalty to Caesar, a charge that could cost Pilate his career. Political stability outweighed one man's life. Could the disciples have intervened? Against armed temple guards and Roman soldiers, any attempt would have been suicidal. And did Jesus know he would die? The Gospels portray him repeatedly predicting his fate. The timing, coinciding with the sacrifice of the Passover lambs, appears deliberate and deeply symbolic. The story seemed to end with that final sacrifice. But what happened next would change everything. Aftermath in one sentence. Within 48 hours, the Sabbath would end, and the tomb would be found empty. The story, far from over, would pivot dramatically, giving rise to resurrection claims that would alter the course of human history. Last 30 seconds. From a borrowed room to a guarded tomb, every step of Jesus' final day is stitched into the historical fabric of first-century Jerusalem. The distances between these monumental locations are surprisingly short, yet the impact of those hours reverberates through millennia. If you learned something new, hit the like button and share this with a friend. Drop your respectful questions below. History is a living conversation that outlives us all.